This is how we take care of our mitochondria. Energy, sun, grounding, cold is great for mitochondria, heat is great for mitochondria, nutrients, and then detoxing. And the goal for those watching us is that we have a boatload of energy. Does that mean that we're 100% healthy? No, but we want to have a boatload of energy, and if we do, there's a chance that our mitochondria is doing decent.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to podcast 139 of the Gordon and Charisse Show. And we are back on a very special part 2 presentation. First, with my silver fox, Gordon Selly. He keeps growing that beard. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, honey.
And second of all, I would love and please introduce again, if you haven't met him before, Dr. Terry Harmon, who is my personal functional medicine doctor. He has been on the Truth About Cancer panel, where over 2 million people worldwide have participated in the Truth About Cancer. I actually saw you, Dr. Terry, I don't even know if I told you, several years back when you had done the Truth About Cancer. I listened to you and so fascinated by what you had to say on that series. Never thought that we'd be interacting in this way today. It's amazing to have you here. And thank you for being part of the core of the foundation to my health journey and being restored. You are helping me slay cancer right now.
It's an honor, and I'm excited to be on here for sure.
Well, Terry, you're in the middle seat from our screen when we're looking at you right now. I think we need to go rapid fire on you. I think we need some questions. Okay, I'm hearing something about the study from Brown University.
Yes.
What is this about?
Yeah, so I'll kind of preface it a little bit. I've been trying to basically work to open people's eyes to, chronic disease and challenges for the last 25 years. Having the honor of working with people with cancer and what are considered irreversible chronic conditions and helping loads of people, if you will, reverse that, I became equally as passionate about prevention, right? And so just trying to tell people, hey, these things that we're dealing with, they can be prevented. So a few weeks ago, July 17th, we'll just kind of pop it up here a little bit, right? July 17th, there's this study released from Brown University called, I call it the Missing American Study. And you can look it up online and you'll find it, the Missing American Study from Brown University. And this is what it says. It says, here in America, we're having twice the number of people die below the age of 65 as all of our other industrialized, modernized peer nations, Canada, Europe, Australia, Japan, et cetera. We have twice the number of deaths, twice the number of people dying from sickness as these other nations. And then as you go into the study and read it, it says this is unprecedented data, meaning what they're saying is like, this is unprecedented. We had really no idea it was this bad. And then lastly, they go on to say that this has been progressing for 4 decades, which is something that I've been seeing. And it really has been our mission. But this study in particular has lit another fire underneath me to get people to understand this is why complacency is absolutely, basically saying when we're complacent, we're signing up for the tragedy that could be dying early, and it doesn't have to happen that way.
And so many people that are in that place about the complacency, maybe it's because they don't even know that they have a system that's broken down, like I didn't know. But there is my children perish from lack of knowledge, the word says. And so with knowledge comes a responsibility, but through that responsibility, there is so much freedom. So I've found that, as you mentioned, prevention, it would have been nice. I'm so glad to have you in my life now. I wish a few years back, though, before the whole diagnosis happened, I had actually gone into all the studies and the labs and everything that you did for the prevention side. Yep. But either way, either side of this, there is so much hope and there's so much help available. But it's so sad that our country itself, I mean, we should be the cutting edge. We should be the leading edge of the epitome of health, the epitome of a country that represents freedom in our bodies, freedom for restoration, freedom for health. And unfortunately, that breakdown and that disconnect is happening everywhere in every part of the process, I think. So keep going.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that ties into, there's three systems, and we talked about it a little bit on the last podcast that we did, but I think it would be good for the audience if they're listening to this one now to just really kind of spell that out a little bit better, and to understand that we can get early assessments, or we can get assessments anywhere that we're at, and then we can begin to build up our bodies towards health, healing, and resiliency. And then lastly, real quick, that hit me, this is podcast number 139.
Yes,
okay,
that's right.
Psalms 139 is, I praise you, Lord, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made, right? Marvelous are your works that my soul knows well.
Come on.
So absolutely not a coincidence that this is 139, because this is the Fearfully and Wonderfully Made podcast,
Come
right?
on.
We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And David writes in there, he says, that my soul knows well. And so I know it sounds sciencey, but there are things that if we'll know them, boy, our soul will then know well, hey, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and this is how I actually take care of myself, and this is how I restore these systems.
And part of that resonates with me is to say, you no longer, even as a believer, so many people are asleep in their life. We don't have to live as the walking dead. We're to be living as lights. The power of Christ is available to each one of us. And that power and that love is there. And it's active and it's present. But it's amazing, it's amazing to seek out these different places of healing, the modalities of healing that are available. Because every time that a stone is turned in my life as I'm going through this, I'm finding another aspect of God's love that pours over me, that shows me, as you said, how fearfully and wonderfully we all are made. Yeah, God wants everybody to live. He created us for life, not death. So keep going.
That's right. Well, I'm going to start out with these questions. Okay. So I know he's talking about three systems, autonomic nervous system, mitochondria, and gut biome. Yep. So let's hit them. So here we are. We have more choices for alternative care, holistic care, modern medicine. We have it all here, but we have a doubled rate in people who have illness and disease, basically.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Right.
But we do see something in the generations. We see kids, and let's start out with mitochondria. You remember, Sharice, when we would draw the mitochondria in elementary school or middle school? Middle school, and I think in the cell, my mitochondria, I colored it blue or something, okay? and people have no idea how their learning is practically applicable to life. So we're going to take topic number one.
Right.
What is mitochondria? How does it pragmatically affect our life, and what can we do?
Yes. We can talk about mitochondria for a solid 10 hours, right? Literally, I teach a lot of doctors this, like the details of this. So mitochondria is the component of our cell that gives us energy and actually manufactures ATP, which is the currency of healing. Okay. So when we look at healing, right? Hey, I want healing in the body physically. This ATP that the mitochondria makes, that it does two things. Your body makes ATP for energy. So we feel energized, like legitimately we have energy. And then number two, it makes ATP for healing. Okay. And so toxicity really just drains the mitochondrial charge. So that's number one. So we have massive toxicity. Number two is then we have nutrient deficiencies that gets in the way of the mitochondria functioning. So the typical person, well, everybody watching this, really, this is your kind of goal, is support your body with the nutrients necessary for the mitochondria. And those are specific. And then number two, then it's address toxicities. And then it ties into this good old fashioned thing called lifestyle, which is energy, sun, and grounding, right? So this is how we take care of our mitochondria. Energy, sun, grounding. Cold is great for mitochondria. Heat is great for mitochondria. Nutrients, and then detoxing. And the goal for those watching us is that we have a boatload of energy. Does that mean that we're 100% healthy? No, but we want to have a boatload of energy. And if we do, there's a chance that our mitochondria is doing decent. Okay. But then that ties into the autonomic nervous system. Ties into it.
That's question number 2, autonomic nervous system.
So it ties into it. And here's how. And here's the research. This is my truth about cancer kind of uniqueness and contribution, right? Many, many, many years ago, it all came together. And the research says if you have a healthy autonomic nervous system, cancer, regardless of stage, does not determine the outcome of your life. So crazy stuff. And I could show you, and you could watch my presentations on the truth about cancer, research after research after research after research, that if we can get this nerve system from a fight or flight state into a parasympathetic activated state, and I'll explain that really, kind of in a short manner, then regardless of cancer stage, you shall live, right? And so many of us, most of us, are stuck in a fight or flight state, whether we realize or not. And people say, not me, no, not me, not me. I'm like, 90% of Americans are stuck in fight or flight, sympathetic dominance, don't know it. That's why everybody needs an Oura ring, or my suggestion would be get an Oura ring and then actually wear it, Gordon. Wear that sweater.
I have a beautiful gold one, doctor. Okay.
It was our anniversary present to each other.
It was actually our anniversary
because he was failing on the sleep for the recording of the sleep. He said, I am putting my wedding ring back on. So I've been scolding him. Scolding doesn't work, by the way, to anybody listening, to any spouse listening. I just have to inspire him. I'm just going to keep wearing mine. But this is the best thing. You inspired me, Dr. Terry, to have this. This is like my daily report card. I know how I'm doing every day. I cannot believe what this ring has done for just opening up my knowledge base about what's going on and why I feel the way that I do each day, and how to kind of prepare for the day better.
Let's get specific about the Oura ring.
Yeah.
What are the results that people are going to find, and how does that relate to your autonomic nervous system?
Yeah, so there's one measurement on the Oura ring that, it gives you a lot of measurements, and they're all very valuable. But there's one particular measurement called heart rate variability. Okay, so heart rate variability has been around for decades, and it's a very, very relevant test done in all kinds of doctors' offices, maybe not used as much as it should be. But heart rate variability is the variability between beats. The greater the variability between beats, which is different than what people would think, indicates a nerve system that is at ease, is relaxed, and is healthy. So we want high heart rate variability. And that's where all the studies on cancer, as an example, and healing and inflammation come into play, right? That we want to begin the process of optimizing or elevating our heart rate variability. So the Oura ring is one of the wearables. It's one of the technology that will tell us that. And in my opinion, it's the best wearable, the best technology, because it's of ease of use and accuracy of data, right? And so when I'm working with my clients or I'm teaching it to an audience, and I have a free ebook for everybody who watches this, you're like, golly, I want to learn more. Literally, there's a free heart rate variability guide that we created to walk you through this. And so you get your Oura ring, you put it on, and then you discover where you're at, right? We want to be at least 50 on heart rate variability. And then the goal is that it's just continually over time that heart rate variability is elevating. So it is a process.
Yeah. When do you find the parasympathetic is turned on? With your heart rate variability, what type of scores, what kind of range?
So, 50 plus. Okay. So, and different people will tell you differently, but I humbly would say I'm one of the foremost experts in the world on this, right? I've been studying it for 25 years and all the technology and all the studies. So when you get your Oura ring, sometimes people are disappointed. Sometimes they're disappointed. They're like, you've got to be kidding me. Like my HRV is 20 or 15 or whatever. And I'm
That's where I'm at.
I'm like, don't worry, like, absolutely don't worry about it. Be thankful for that. Like, be thankful. And then you begin the journey of untethering yourself from things that are tugging your nerve system down. So sometimes people say, Doc, I have loads of energy, so my mitochondria must be healthy. And it's like, no, you're in fight or flight. And so you can run real far and real fast when you're being chased by a lion, right? Until you can't run anymore, until you're just exhausted, right? And so like with that data, Gordon, and I've had a lot of clients, I'm like, just let it speak to you. Just let it love you. Like, just let it just minister to you and then just work on it. Humans need sleep, right? And then humans need to be aware of their nerve system and then to chip away at it, because heart rate variability, and I have all this in the guide, is associated with exceptional health and exceptional longevity, right? That's the research. If you have a high heart rate variability, it correlates with exceptional longevity and exceptional health. So it's a process, make no mistake about it. Like, it can be a 2, 3, 4, 5-year process of 20 to 25 and 25 to 30 and 30, and then boom, right? I just had a client, it was amazing. I didn't know this. She texted me. She said, today's my 1-year anniversary with the Oura ring. And she said, when I first got it, my average HRV was 15 and now it's 97.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I wanted to cry.
She's my hero. Wow.
I'm like, and I watched her. I watched her go through all the journeys, the ups and downs of what she learned.
Wow.
Right. And, I just what a gift she gave me, like unbeknownst to me, she just texted me. I'm like, wow.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, since you're a chiropractor, have you also noticed that people that have joint fixations or immobility within their body, within their joints, that also has a direct impact on the sympathetic nervous system?
It's how it started for me, is that we have this philosophy within chiropractic, right? And I love the philosophy, but then I'm like, I have to know that we're actually doing something, right? It's like, I have to know that it's not just a philosophy. And so that's where it all started. 26 years ago, I'm like, if I'm going to look somebody in their eyes and say, this can help this happen, then that was my whole autonomic nerve system research, right? And so the alignment of our spine to include our structure and our functional mobility patterns is having an impact on the autonomic nerve system. And so working with, somebody who's trained or skilled in what I say objective measurements of structure and mobility will absolutely have a positive impact on the autonomic nerve system. It'll absolutely, but so does toxicity testing, right? Test toxins, because if we have massive toxins, guess what it does to the nerve system? It stresses it out. Like, it sends it into fight or flight. It's like, there's poison in me.
And that was such a fascinating conversation that you and I had, because I keep thinking I'm reducing stress, I'm doing these things, but you're like, well, it's really not your fault. Look at the toxicities. Those are the things that are keeping you. I mean, it's a big component of what's keeping that HRV down right now. And when it'll be interesting in this next year process that I'm going through to see, as these toxins are pulled out of my system, to see how it affects that HRV. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah. And with that, even for people watching this, because we'll have a lot of my audience watching this as well, you can heal with a low HRV. It's slower. It's slower than it can be. Sometimes I've had a patient, they're healing, they're doing great, and they're like, but my HRV is still low. Like, I'm like, don't worry about it. You're just working on your health. And so I just want people to know that you get an Oura ring, you plop it on, maybe you're just pleasantly surprised, or maybe you're disappointed. It's an important number. It's just a number. Now you're working on it. Now you're just enjoying the journey of how God is leading you, and that you're walking this thing out.
Are you listening, Gordon?
No, Sharice, I'm barely listening to this. Okay. So we're okay for all the people out there that feel penalized because they've had chronic pain and they've had interrupted sleep patterns and their REM score or their deep
zero.
deep sleep. Yes, Gordon, you got 12 minutes tonight. Well, thank you. Okay, I didn't need to know that again, but we're being comical right now. But it is important to collect data if you're going to do things differently. You have to have a strategy. And I think that's the point you're making. So you've started with autonomic nervous system. You've touched on
Actually, it started with the mitochondrial,
thank you, Shrees.
autonomic nervous system, and now it's gut biome.
Well, the second brain, basically, isn't it, of our body?
Yeah. So there's more nerves in our gut than there are in our spinal cord. Like when you learn that, it's like, holy moly, more nerves in our gut than there are on an autonomic nerve system. And then there's this constant connection between the vagus nerve, right, the wandering nerve, so parasympathetic activation, and the gut. So what's happened, just so everybody knows, is that a majority of Americans especially, but certainly people around the country, we've decimated bacterial species out of our gut, just decimated. So we're lacking that which God designed to be there. In many cases, we're overridden with things that don't belong there. And we have work to do in the gut. So, and then I tell people, never base your gut health on symptoms, right? And guys tend to be the worst, but they'll say, my gut's fine. I could eat hot stuff and everything else and nothing bothers me. But stereotypically, the way you know how your gut's doing is through a comprehensive stool analysis. And this is where the gift of God is that, that this testing has come so far. It's so cool to be able to see, is your gut capable of supporting your health and healing, or is it incapable of supporting your health and healing, that it's so broken down that this huge component of our well-being, like it can't even contribute. And not only can it not contribute, but it's stressing out the autonomic nervous system because of the damage that's there.
So specifically, okay, we'll just put my gut on the line here.
Yes.
When we were doing all the fecal testing and the toxicity testing, a parasite came up in my analysis in the stool test, a very specific parasite. I looked the critter up. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. I don't like the looks of him. I don't like what he does. It's a really disgusting read if anybody wants a read. I can't remember the specific name of the parasite, but I don't like him.
Well, we don't need to add psychological overlay to the audience.
Well, but the truth is, though, that parasite is, even in all of the restorative gut things I've done, it's the robber. It's going backdoor and taking the nutrients that I need out of my system in order to heal. So it's not that I felt like, I think I have a parasite in my gut today, but who knows how long that thing has been growing. I found out actually after reading more about it, it kills 100,000 people a year. That particular parasite. So we can all be having the appearance of health, but having things like this that are eroding the process of healing as we try to heal until it's discovered. And that was just that parasite. Another week or so from now, that parasite is gone. I'm working hard with you on the specifics of how to kill that parasite. And I could not do that alone, by the way.
Well, Dr. Harmon, how many people have parasites and how many people are dealing with toxins? Because this seems like there's some type of intersectional relationship with the Brown University study from what you're talking about. Yeah,
so there's in my world, we tell people if you have a pulse, you have parasites. But, and here's the but, there's a difference between a minimal amount of parasites, and nobody really wants to hear that, right? Nobody wanted to hear that. Oh my gosh. But then there's what we're going to call like an overgrowth or an overtaking of the GI with parasites, right? And so toxins disrupt the gut microbiome, and toxins and stress disrupt the gut microbiome. A disrupted microbiome can't take care of itself. So then things are going to overgrow, whether it's yeast or Clostridium or other bacteria, or it's parasites, or it's multiple of those things. And so we want our clients to eat well. We want them to exercise. Like those are foundational. But then in addition to that, we have to just get clarity there. Like I always say, like imagine trying to clean out a fairly dirty garage in pitch black. Like you can't do it. We need to illuminate the situation. The situation has to be illuminated. And then even on a stool test, there's some other markers that are really, really relevant for chronic pain and really relevant for cancer. I mean, really relevant, where we need to look at these things called short chain fatty acids. And then we need to look at elastase production as an example to really give people what they need to kick butt.
Is that the pancreatic elastase that you mentioned?
Yes, ma'am.
I find that fascinating too. I've never heard of this. Can you elaborate a little bit on what that means?
Oh, it's huge. We stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Doctors Beard, Kelly, and Gonzalez really attempted to bring something to the world, which is the understanding of pancreatic health, specifically enzymes made by the pancreas in preventing cancer and killing cancer. So for many people, they have low pancreatic enzyme production, and then they're missing out on something, again, that the body is intended to be making that actually kills cancer. And so Beard, Kelly, Gonzalez, are amazing. They're all gone now. And then it's a matter of kind of carrying on their work in relation to kind of modern day testing, and then actually how to help people heal it and fix it. Like that's what we get to do. We get to, through the grace of God, we get to help people really restore the microbiome, the mitochondria, the autonomic nervous system.
Well, we had some Costa Rican doctors on a couple of podcasts ago, wonderful new friends of ours. And they definitely talked about you cannot just take prebiotics and probiotics and think you're solving the problem.
Correct.
You need to identify exactly what you need in that gut biome to have a restorative reaction. So what you're talking about to me is extremely enthusiastic.
And that's part of the specific testing that you do. And I think that you're one of the leading edge people in this country to do it. And I am just so grateful in my own experience to know these things, to have the flat. I'm not in that dark garage. I know what we're dealing with. And on top of that, I'm not alone in the fight. It's not like you gave me a flashlight and said, okay, now go figure it out. I feel like I have a community of support that it's enduring. And that makes all the difference in the journey for me, and I think for many other people. I think if anybody, since this is the podcast 139, Psalm 139 episode, I think we're not doing this podcast for ourselves. This is for every listener. This is for every person to be reminded of your uniqueness, of your special standing in God, no matter how you feel today, no matter how broken or how if you can't feel God's love for you, don't worry. He has it for you. It's not about your feelings right now. It's about the fact that just know that He knows you and that you are known right in the point of this process. And I hope that this information can give you practical help, so that you not only have the spiritual part that you're nourished by, but you also have a map ahead so that you can go into your own healing cycle. Because it is possible.
Well, absolutely. And Charisse, I have the tech guys. I can't tell how many fingers they're giving me right now. Like 2 minutes left.
They're like, hey.
They're like, come on, guys. Valuable takeaway on this. Dr. Harmon, your valuable takeaway for people right now.
Yeah.
Valuable takeaway for people that I would want people to know is become a studier. Become a studier, and there's a lot of stuff out there, but on our site, which Gordon and Charisse will link, I have 10 free ebooks, 10 free ones. You mean I really have to read? Yes. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. That word really translates wisdom. We just have been living in a culture that has said, don't worry about it. We're going to develop all the technology and all the treatments that you don't have to worry about it. And guess what? Tragically, it's led to the Brown University study that says it won't work that way. We have to become active participants, and a part of the active participants is going to be gaining education. And so go check out those ebooks.
Beautiful. Sharice, valuable takeaway.
Well, just based on what you just said, the Brown University study, we do not have to choose to be part of a statistic. That is why we are fearfully and wonderfully made as individuals who are known by God. You do not have to wrap your life in this end number statistic. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time saying it, but I really mean it. You're not a stat. You are loved, and healing is available to you no matter how you feel today. So I just want to leave every person with the hope that is here, and it's here for you. Please get connected to it. Yeah. Please connect with Dr. Terry too. We are so much better in our life for knowing him, and you will be too.
Well, I have a valuable takeaway. I know this. From my perspective, I could sit here and go through the molecular details of the Krebs cycle and coenzymes with Dr. Harmon. What does that do for the audience member? Nothing. So I'm going to put myself in the audience member who's really struggling, who says, I've got chronic pain I don't want to read. You know what you can do? You can hire an expert. You can consult your doctors and create your team. You can grow in trust. As you grow in trust in God, God's going to give you the physicians, the chiropractors, the natural paths, anyone who's dealing with a healing construct. He's going to bring them in, as you mentioned, healing community.
Yes.
And I tell you what, invest in yourself in that process. Okay, that's what health is about. It's dealing with the adaptability. And thank you for autonomic nervous system, gut biome, and mitochondria. Okay?
Yes.
Because someone is going, I have no clue.
Yeah.
I have no clue if something is compromised. This is a time to get the testing, get an expert. We'll have the information on our website, under the podcast, when we have a description, even in our newsletters. So I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Harmon, for joining us today. And maybe we'll do some special ones in the future, because we're just getting started.
That's right.
Amen. Amen. What an honor. Thank you all so much for your platform and what you're doing. And I'm available anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.